Me and Brett, the XJ guy, you've seen him in some of my videos. We're gonna go down to Matt's off-road record games. We're gonna take his XJ and my Tundra. So I got a list of stuff I gotta get done, hopefully get done before we go. So right now, I'm working on a tent rack. I picked up a rooftop tent. I figured instead of spending 300 bucks on an Airbnb, I'd just put it towards a tent and then I'd have it forever. If I take it down twice, then it'd be paid for. So I'm building the rack for that right now. And I got a head start on this a while ago, but I got kind of sick and gave up for a little bit. But I'm building these bars that are gonna be the uprights for the tent. I got the angle iron cut, and then these will weld to the angle iron. And then I just gotta cut 3 longer pieces in the middle, and then it'll pretty well be done. So I'm gonna get to grinding all these clean, and then get the angle iron in here, get these welded to it, and then I can start figuring out how wide I need to make the top bars. Nice and clean, look good. Get my pieces welded to the bed rail parts of my rack. So there's going to be 3 of these per rack, or per angle iron. And once I get those, I got the measurement for the spread. So I'll get those tacked on, and I'm gonna tack the pieces to my table, the same spread as the truck. Then I can get the exact measurements of the pieces that go across. So it should be pretty easy. All right, so I just took my angle finder, got my angle off the table, and just make it match that. Then when I build the other angle piece, I'll square it up on my table, get these measurements between each one, and then I'll build it all in place, cut the tacks off, and finish welding it up. Okay, there we go. Now I'll just get that longer piece measured and cut. Start tacking them in and make sure it's square. I did make sure that I welded it, you know, the same distance on each end to the table. All right, there we go. Just got to do 2 more, then throw in a few supports here and there. And found it easier to build the hoops on the table so I could get my angles exactly right, and then I don't gotta deal with the wobbly pieces that are tacked on. So now I can get them welded across each angle, make sure it's all square, and then I'll cut a couple more braces for the top to tie it all together. There's all the hoops on. And before I get them all welded to the angle, I'm gonna cut some bars that go down the centers here and here. That's what the tent will mount to, and then now they're all tacked into place. And I'll start now by welding all the pieces to the angle. All right, there it is, all finished up and welded. Used my hoist, set in the truck, and then I got to drill probably 4 holes to mount it to the side of the bed. Now I can get it bolted down, but I gotta wait to put the tent on because my roof barely scrapes the top of my garage door header, and the tent's gonna be too tall for that. So I'll get it all bolted in, put the tent on. Probably the very last thing I do before we leave, because I gotta get it pulled back in, do the front locker, the power steering, grease everything, check for loose bolts. So yeah, I'll do the tent very last. But I think it turned out pretty good, really. Alright, it's been a day since I built the tent rack, and Brett's now on his way. We're gonna put a front locker in the Tundra, so he's gonna help me out with that. And tomorrow we're leaving at 3:58 a.m. So I gotta get all the shop cleaned up so we're not laying in metal dust. I'm also going to try to put these front brake lines on. I'm a little nervous. I ordered too short of brake lines. I tried measuring with a like a vacuum hose, and I went out, got the truck full flex, and then Took the vacuum hose and it was long enough. These are from HEL. It's pretty cool. You just get on there and design it, hit order. You pick all sorts of different fittings, like angled banjo fittings, or you know, the male threaded fittings. And here is the lock. Hopefully this is right as well. Doesn't look too crazy. Not a lot of parts. So excited to do it. So I'm gonna get the truck pulled in and get the front diff draining while Brett's on his way. Throw my attachment on my grease gun and start greasing them. So these Enduro fittings have like a low profile greaser on them, and it takes a needle, and it is a huge mess trying to grease these things, because that's where your normal fitting goes off your gun, and it just gets grease everywhere. Weird little flush. And I'm gonna grease these things like overkill. Not fill them full of grease overkill, but I'm gonna do it like every 2,000 miles or something. Maybe I'm using the wrong fitting, but look how freaking stupid this is. This is like super wobbly, and it just pours out more grease into the coupling than it does the needle. All right, I'm just gonna get the rest done, and I'll come back to you. Brett made it.
I'm here.
All right, I was supposed to get it draining and I haven't yet, so I'll do that right now. Oh, nice. Ooh, there's a lot of metal shavings.
That's normal if it's
First change?
first change of him re-gearing.
I assume it would be. I think he might have re-geared it like right before he sold
How
it.
does the backlash feel?
What is that, this way?
Yeah.
I don't know, I might have to jack it up.
No, you should be able to.
Oh.
Here, I got gloves on real quick.
Okay.
Well, whatever it is, it is.
Does it feel normal?
Yeah, I think you want like 6 to 10 thousandths.
All right. A little bit of speckles. At least there's no big chunks. I greased this lower ball joint, and not much water come out of it. All right, Brett's working on getting the knuckle off so we can get the axle slid out, and I'm working on the steering box. So this side of the frame is plated, and this back side was not, but it came with a plate in the toolbox. So I'm not gonna weld it on right now. I'm just basically using it as a giant washer. So
Good backing plate to make it so the steering box don't wobble anymore.
yeah, so the problem is without it plated on the back, if you tighten the bolts too much, the frame's just not strong enough and it'll suck the frame in, which happened, and the steering box was a little loose. So I will get that plate on and then probably just weld it in the future, but because I got to go through And I'm gonna literally grind out every single weld that I possibly can and redo them all because they're not good.
They're ratcheting. Okay, go ahead. Probably for the ratchet in there now. Yeah. Yeah, just needed some help. I guess we only need to come out enough to be clear of the spider gears. Or the whole carrier, really.
Okay, so we found that this seal is basically gone. And we're gonna replace the outer axle shaft seals while we have them out anyway.
I don't know what was vibrating, but
Like sliding around, basically.
oh yeah, that don't even fit, does it?
No.
I think I have some that would fit.
All right, I'm gonna go to the parts store, get inner outer seals, snap ring pliers, and Brett's gonna put the locker in while I'm gone.
I'm just marking the ring gear with the carrier so I can put it back on and in the same spot. I don't know if that's really necessary, but there we go. That worked. I was gonna hit on it, but just putting two back in and tightening them down must have tweaked it enough to loosen the ring gear. All right, you put the open face of the spacer to the teeth side of this, so that side. Open face to the teeth. Now we can pop these in, these are exactly the same. Open face to the teeth. Put that one in. Okay, I've got the center pin lined up. Center pin with the hole down. Now it's going to run into those center little cap things. All right, keeping those center cap things all the way recessed onto both sides is pretty difficult. That's about it. Let's see. Rotate the center pin. Trying to use the old roll pin to see how far I should go. Just a little bit more. All right, that's halfway. That's good.
All right, our camera died while we were putting everything back together, but got new seals on the axle, new power steering line, the locker's in and works. Went through, checked all the bolts. Now the only thing I haven't done is the brake lines, and I need to get it fully flexed and double check that they work. But the power steering, so it used to have a cooler in the front, I'm guessing. And when they put the bumper and the winch on, they eliminated the cooler. So just these lines were in the bumper. You can see how kinked it is. So I eliminated all that and just did a solid hose, and instead of going under the truck, I went kind of up and across and down. So that'll be a lot better. So I got it all topped off. Now I just need to pull it out and get the tent on. Okay, tent's on. We're ready to roll. Hopefully it was worth buying versus getting an Airbnb, but we'll find out. It looks comfy enough. Who cares? Thanks for watching. Next video will be down in Sand Hollow wheeling, so check it out.